Ayubovan, a very good morning. Can I hear your voices? Good morning. Fantastic. On behalf of the National Authority on Tobacco and Alcohol, warm welcome to this momentous occasion, the commemoration of World No Tobacco Day, which falls today, and the release of the Global Adult Tobacco Survey, GATS. Well, for me, it's an honor, privilege, and a pleasure to be associated with this very special occasion. You may take your seats, everybody. Please take your seats. The theme of this year's World No Tobacco Day is "We Need Food, Not Tobacco." Well, this theme underscores the critical role of food in our lives and highlights the detrimental effects of tobacco use on our health and well-being. Well, as we unite to observe this day, let us reaffirm our commitment to promoting healthier lifestyles and, of course, encouraging individuals to make informed choices. Well, today, in addition to commemorating World No Tobacco Day, we will also witness the release of the Global Adults Tobacco Survey results. Well, these results provide valuable insights into the prevalence of tobacco use and the impact of anti-smoking measures worldwide. And such data empowers us to develop evidence-based strategies and policies to address this global issue effectively. Well, as Compeer, I would like to take this opportunity in extending a warm welcome to our chief guest. Warm welcome to you, Honorable Sir, Honorable Dr. Kehelia Ramukwala, Minister of Health, who's our chief guest today. I'm sure we can put our hands together, give him a round of applause and show appreciation. Well, I'd also like to extend a warm welcome to Dr. Alaka Singh, the WHO country representative. Warm welcome to you. Also, all additional secretaries, Director General of Health Services, Director General of the Department of Census and Statistics, also the Board of Directors of NATA, all Deputy Director Generals, all Provincial Directors of Health Services, all Regional Directors of Health Services, WHO staff, Department of Census and Statistics staff, nursing staff from government hospitals, police officers who are here with us today, also officers from the Department of Excise, public health inspectors, food and drug inspectors, and other distinguished invitees. A warm welcome once again. Well, in keeping with tradition, we like to start off with the lighting of the oil lamp. And can I please invite our chief guest, sir, can we have you to walk up to light the oil lamp? Also, Dr. Alaka Singh, we'd like to invite you as well to walk up to light the oil lamp. Dr. Alan Lodawai, Chairman of NATA. Dr. Saman Ratnayaka, Additional Secretary, State Ministry of Health. Dr. Sunil Dialvis, Additional Secretary, Medical Services, Ministry of Health. Dr. Asela Gunawardena, Director General of Health Services. Mr. Anura Kumara, Director General, Department of Census and Statistics. Dr. Bhalita Abekon, WHO's Director General, Special Envoy and former NATA Chairman and NATA Board Member. Mr. Shakir Nanakara, Chairman, National Dangerous Drug Control Board and NATA Board Member. Also to light the oil lamp, Mrs. BMS Bandara, Additional Secretary, Development, Ministry of Trade and Food Security and NATA Board Member. Mrs. Krishanti Mihigapala, Additional Secretary, Reforms, Ministry of Justice and NATA Board Member. Mr. P.C. Silva, Commissioner of Excise, NATA Board Member. Ms. Riaza Nautla, Senior Assistant Secretary, Administration, Ministry of Mass Media and NATA Board Member. And Dr. G.L.K. Ekanayaka, Director General, Institute of Sports Medicine and NATA Board Member. Can you all please stand up for lighting the oil lamp, brings color to the event and to the organization. Thank you very much. Please be standing for the national anthem.
Sri Lanka Mata, up the Sri Lanka, Namo, 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 Namo Mata. Sundara Sri Karini, Surani Ati Sobhamana Lanka. Danya Danya Nekamal Valatulu Devi Jaya Bhumi Lanka. Apahata Sapa Siri Setta Sadhana, Jeevana Mata. Viliganu Mena Apabhakti Puja, Namo Namo Mata. Apa Sri Lanka, Namo 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 Mata. Upave Apavidya, Upamaya Apasatya, Upave Apashanti, Apahata Tulabhakti, Apa Aloke, Apage Anuprane, Apa Jeevanale, Apa Muktiya Opade, Apa Jeevana Devini, Vikrina Apa Kubudukaran Mata. Jnana Pira Vadavani Narayana Yanu Mena Jaya Bhumi Para. Ekamavatake Taru Kalavarina, Yamu Yamu Vinopama. Prema Madasana Veda Durana, Namo Namo Mata. Apa Sri Lanka, Namo 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 Mata.
Thank you very much. You may take your seats. And ladies and gentlemen, on this very special occasion, to speak to us on the importance of the implementation of the ground-level tobacco prevention activities, I have the pleasure of inviting a personality who in fact embarked on his journey at the University of Peradeniya in 1984, enrolling as a medical student. Well, he commenced his medical career in 1994 as a district medical officer in Badal Kubura and rose up the ladder. Well, undoubtedly, his dedication to continuous education and professional development shines through his academic achievements. He has successfully obtained both a master's degree and a doctorate in medical administration. Ladies and gentlemen, this personality's professional trajectory is a testament to his exceptional achievements and unwavering commitment to the medical profession. Well, from his humble beginnings as a medical student with a passion for sports, he has emerged as a distinguished medical administrator with a multifaceted skill set. And through his academic accomplishments, training endeavors, and of course, remarkable contribution to healthcare, he has solidified his position as a leader in the field, focused on improving patient care, enhancing productivity, and driving system development. Without further ado, I have the pleasure of inviting Dr. Asela Gunawardana, who is the Director General of Health Services. Everybody, a round of applause.
This is your spectacles. Pfizer. Good morning to all of you. The Chief Incumbent of Seruwala Rajamaha Vihara, Venerable Aludiniye Sobhita Thero, Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Keheliya Rabukalla, Dr. Alaka Singh, the WHO representative to the Sri Lanka, all the additional secretaries, Director General of Department of Census and Statistics, all the Deputy Director Generals, all the Directors of the Ministry of Health, Provincial Directors of the Health Services, Regional Directors of the Health Services, and all the Food and Drug Inspectors, PHIs and staff of the Ministry of Health, and WHO staff, and authorized officers of the NATA Act, and the members of the Board of Directors of the NATA, and all the other distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen. My main task is to welcome all of you. I would like to welcome our Honorable Minister, Dr. Keheliya Rabukalla, with all his busy schedule. His presence here is a great strength for us. So thank you very much, sir, for coming and gracing this occasion. And Dr. Alaka Singh, he is always a great strength for us and supporting all the ministry endeavors. So thank you, Alaka, coming and gracing this occasion. And all the other additional secretaries and all the other director generals from the other departments and all our provincial directors, regional directors, and the staff of Ministry of Health, and all the other staff members from other departments, police, and all the other ministries. I would like to welcome all of you for this very important meeting today. Today we are celebrating the World No Tobacco Day in 2023. As Director General of Health Services of Sri Lanka, it is an honor for me to address you today on this crucial topic of the implementation of ground-level tobacco prevention activities. Tobacco is not just a habit. It is a global pandemic that demands our immediate attention and concerted effort. WHO reports that in 2020, 22.3% of the global population, that is about 1.3 billion people, use tobacco. That is 36.7% of all men and 7.8% of all women. Southeast East Asian region currently has the highest rate of tobacco use, with around 432 million users, or 29% of its population. Over 80% of the 1.3 tobacco users worldwide live in low and middle income countries, where the burden of tobacco-related illness and death is heaviest. Tobacco use contributes to poverty by diverting household spending from basic needs such as food and shelter to tobacco. When we consider tobacco consumption, it is broadly recognized into two forms: smoking and smokeless tobacco. Smoking encompasses direct smoking, second-hand smoking, and even the third-hand smoking. Tobacco is a major driver for non-communicable diseases, causing or exacerbating cardiovascular disease, cancer, chronic respiratory disease, and diabetes. Worldwide, nearly 8 million lives are claimed annually by tobacco-related illness, including around 1.2 million deaths from exposure to second-hand smoke. It is alarming that 10% of total global deaths caused by tobacco are attributed to second-hand smoking. This means that even those who choose not to smoke are at risk of harmful effects of tobacco. Our own nation has not been spared from this grave reality. In Sri Lanka alone, approximately 20,000 lives are lost each year due to tobacco use. WHO further states that globally, the total economic cost of smoking, from direct healthcare cost and productivity loss from mortality and the morbidity caused by the smoking attribute diseases, are estimated around US dollars 1.4 trillion per year, equivalent to 1.8% of the world gross domestic product, GDP. Most deaths related to tobacco occur among working age individuals, and these deaths are largely preventable with effective tobacco control and cessation services in place. Furthermore, in Colombo metro area, we have witnessed a rise in popularity of vaping among our young population. However, we must acknowledge that vaping is not a safe alternative to smoking. It is highly addictive and often leads to the continuation of the smoking habit. In fact, systemic review have revealed that e-cigarette use or vaping has been associated with initiation of the tobacco cigarette smoking among teenagers worldwide. This trend is deeply concerning and we must address it head on. We cannot overlook the fact that tobacco industry employs various manipulative tactics to entice individuals into tobacco use. Global findings have proven that industry's marketing strategies and product designs are intentionally crafted to attract new users and retain existing customers. It is crucial that we closely monitor and regulate the industry's activity to protect our citizens from their manipulative practices. While it is encouraging to note the declining in smoking rates in Sri Lanka, we must remain vigilant. Smokeless tobacco use has been an alarming increase. One of the most common forms of smokeless tobacco in Sri Lanka is betel chew. This habit poses a significant risk factor for oral cancer. We cannot ignore the devastating consequence of the smokeless tobacco and its impact on our population's health. Ladies and gentlemen, the expertise of our health professionals in Sri Lanka is commendable. However, it is high time we accelerate our ground-level tobacco prevention activities. Collaborative action is needed of the hour, and it is only through collective effort that we can truly benefit the public of Sri Lanka. We must work together to raise awareness, implement effective policies, and provide support system to help individuals to overcome tobacco addiction. Let us utilize this national celebration of World No Tobacco Day 2023 as a platform to reaffirm our commitment to the health and well-being of our nation. Together, we can create a future where tobacco no longer claims lives and our citizens can enjoy a smoke-free environment. Let us join hands in the fight against tobacco. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for your effective address. And before we continue, I think it's my bounden duty to announce the arrival and show our appreciation in his presence here today. Venerable Adudeni Subhuti Thera, Chief Incumbent of the Serua Villa Raja Mahavihara, is also with us today. Well, I now have great pleasure in inviting our next speaker, who is going to be talking to us about the previous achievements of the tobacco control activities in Sri Lanka and, of course, the very important way forward. And for that, I have the pleasure of inviting a personality who is currently serving as the chairman of NATA, the National Authority on Tobacco and Alcohol. Well, he has had a distinguished career within the Ministry of Health, holding various important positions prior to his current role. Well, he has served as the Director of Healthcare, Quality and Safety and Senior Assistant Secretary of Medical Services in the Ministry of Health. He also worked as the Director of International Health at the Management Development Planning Unit of the Ministry of Health. Ladies and gentlemen, he embarked on his medical career way back in 1992. And talking of his professional journey, he demonstrates his commitment to healthcare education, administration, and quality improvement. His expertise and dedication have led to numerous accomplishments, including his instrumental role in the development and recognition of healthcare programs. As the current chairman of the National Authority on Tobacco and Alcohol, he continues to contribute to the betterment of public health in Sri Lanka. Without further ado, it's my pleasure inviting Dr. Alan Ludewijk.
Good morning to everyone. Venerable Aludenia Subodhi Thero, Chief Incumbent of Seruvilla Rajamahawihara, Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Kelia Ramukwella, Dr. Alaka Singh, the WHO Country Representative to Sri Lanka, Dr. Sunil D. Alves, the Additional Secretary, Medical Services, Ministry of Health, Dr. Saman Ratnayaka, the Additional Secretary, State, Ministry of Health, the Director General of Health Services of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Asele Gunamardana, all other ministry additional secretaries, Mr. Andra Kumara, Director General of the Department of Census and Statistics, the Deputy Director Generals, the NATA Board of Directors, the Provincial Directors of Health Services, the Regional Directors of Health Services, the WHO staff, the Department of Census and Statistics staff, the authorized officers of the NATA Act, and all our other distinguished invitees. Welcome. As you may have been aware, and as DG so rightly pointed out, tobacco and alcohol kills around thousands of Sri Lankans each year. And it causes serious and debilitating illnesses in many more. And the result is a massive social and economic cost, which manifests as a loss of breadwinners, orphan children, malnutrition, and poverty at family level. It also, as you also may be aware, causes a major strain on the health system and the social fabric and the economy of our country. And a study conducted by the UNDP and the WHO showed that the economic costs of tobacco in Sri Lanka was rupees 212 billion in 2017. Furthermore, tobacco consumption has decreased in Sri Lanka according to the last Global Adult Tobacco Survey, which we will release today. And tobacco prevalence decreased by 19.4%, and tobacco smoking decreased by 9.1% compared to previous years. The National Authority on Tobacco and Alcohol, NATA, the Act was passed in the Parliament of Sri Lanka in 2006. And it is the only act in the world which covers both tobacco and alcohol. And NATA was established in 2007 under the chairmanship of the late Professor Carlo Fonseca. So our vision at NATA is a country and people free of tobacco and alcohol use. And our mission is to mobilize all social sectors to liberate our society from harm caused by tobacco and alcohol. Our main objectives are to identify the policy on protecting public health and to make provision for discouraging people, especially children, from smoking or consuming alcohol by curtailing their access to tobacco and alcohol products. We also wish to eliminate tobacco and alcohol-related harm through the assessment and monitoring of the production, marketing, and consumption of tobacco and alcohol products. So the food and drug inspectors, the public health inspectors, the police officers, and excise officers are the authorized officers under our Act, and we are happy to see them present with us today. Every year, NATA commemorates World No Tobacco Day on the 31st of May. And WHO and public health champions around the world come together to celebrate World No Tobacco Day. And this year's World No Tobacco Day theme is "We Need Food, Not Tobacco." And through the global campaign of 2023, we aim to illuminate the vast potential of alternative crops alternative crop production and marketing opportunities for tobacco farmers, urging them to cultivate sustainable and nutritious crops. Furthermore, our objective is to shed light on the tobacco industry's unwarranted interference in endeavors to replace tobacco cultivation with sustainable alternatives. In tandem with the commemoration of World No Tobacco Day, NATA will unveil the highly anticipated Global Adults Tobacco Survey 2020 report this morning. And this groundbreaking report represents the first ever nationally representative household survey encompassing both non-institutionalized males and females aged 15 years and above. So the GATS survey 2020 offers valuable insights into respondents' background characteristics, tobacco consumption, both smoking and smokeless, cessation efforts, secondhand smoke exposure, economic factors, media influence and knowledge, attitudes and perceptions concerning tobacco use. Today, NATA will proudly highlight the previous achievements in introducing alternative livelihoods for tobacco farmers. Furthermore, as NATA engages with social media users through a carefully crafted campaign, NATA will also host a two-day workshop on the 31st, that is today and tomorrow, the 1st of June 2023. It's specifically tailored for 50 dedicated public health inspectors. This workshop aims to fortify the ground-level tobacco control interventions, empowering these professionals to effective positive change in their communities. To summarize some of the key achievements of NATA, we have the Amendment Act number 3 of 2015. We have a Global Youth Tobacco Survey 2015, a Ban Smokeless Tobacco Regulation Gazette in 2016. In recognition of the work on tobacco, the WHO Director General awarded NATA the Director General's No Tobacco Award in 2017. We had the Global Adults Tobacco Survey of 2020 that I mentioned, the Tobacco Taxation Formula, which we developed in 2021, a 24/7 toll-free 1948 quit line services, a certificate course of counseling on tobacco and alcohol, the establishment of tobacco-free zones, a pilot project to introduce alternate crops for tobacco cultivation in the Monaragala and Anuradhapura districts, a public opinion survey on tobacco and alcohol regulations. We established an ethics review committee. We have an annual national symposium on tobacco and alcohol prevention. We have launched 2 mobile apps, one on media violation app and an authorized officers app. We have done a media award ceremony. We've established and maintained an official Facebook page, a YouTube channel, and Instagram. We have developed tobacco and alcohol prevention-related health messages for school textbooks in all 3 languages. a smokeless tobacco-related scientific literature magazine called Bulat Vitama Saber Arutak was launched, and we introduced a medicinal product that can improve oral hygiene named Sangstha Bulat Sape with the collaboration of the Sri Lanka Ayurvedic Drug Corporation. In talking about the way forward, we need to again look at the Act and submit some new amendments to this Act. We also need to introduce new pictorial graphic warnings for tobacco containers. We would like to go for plain packaging. In fact, we need to probably ban single-stick sales and tobacco use in all public places. The no tobacco sales also must stop we need to stop it within 100 meters of a school and possibly places of worship as well. The Global Youth Tobacco Survey we will like to work on with the Ministry of Education, the impact study on alternative crop programs with the Ministry of Agriculture, and review our quitline services with the help of WHO, and implement a proper and transparent tobacco taxation formula, and possibly a tracking and tracing system with the help of the Excise Department. So on this special occasion of World No Tobacco Day, I express my gratitude and appreciation to all the responsible parties, particularly to all the previous chairpersons and board members and staff of NATA, both past and present, as well as the governmental and non-governmental organizations for their dedication to make our nation tobacco-free and ensure the good health of all our citizens. Through our combined efforts, we have the ability to create a tobacco-free world. Thank you for your participation this morning, and let this World No Tobacco Day signify the commencement of a fruitful journey toward a society free from the harm of tobacco. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for your words of appreciation and encouragement, and of course, sharing your wealth of experience with all of us today. Well, you did talk about, Dr. Allen did talk about a very special report that's going to be released, and that is that very special moment. This is the official release of the Global Adults Tobacco Survey, GATS report. And for that, can I please invite, once again, Dr. Alan Ludawijk, can I have you on stage, along with Mr. Anura Kumara, Director General, Department of Census and Statistics. Come on, why don't you put your hands together and give them a round of applause? For the first presentation, Mr. Anura Kumara, can I request you to please move down and make the first presentation to Venerable Aludenia Subhuti, the chief incumbent of the Seruvavila Raja Mahavihara. And while both of you on stage, Dr. Allen, can I have you to present the report to our chief guest, Honorable Dr. Keheli Ramukwala, Minister of Health, sir. Graduated? No.
Right, yes.
And the GATS report is also being presented to Dr. Alaka Singh, a WHO country representative to Sri Lanka, by the chairman of NATA. Thank you very much, Chairman. Just to remind all of you that the highlights that all invitees and attendees will receive a copy of the GATS report today. And also, The distribution aims to facilitate a broader understanding of the report's findings and promote informed discussions. Well, on that note, I think it's very fitting that I invite Mr. Anura Kumara to the podium to speak about the importance of the GATS survey and the challenges of the implementation of GATS.
Good morning. Reverend Aludeniye Subhuti, distinguished guests including Minister Kelia Ramukwella and government officers and UN officers and WHO officials and all. Ladies and gentlemen, it brings me great pleasure to speak at this occasion in launching ceremony for the finding of the GATS survey. The Ministry of Health, Nutrition and Indigenous Medicine requested DCS support for conducting the Global Alert Survey, Tobacco Survey, that is called GATS Sri Lanka, in 2018. Despite the department ever-increasing workload, DCS decided to collaborate with NATA on this significant countrywide survey for first time in Sri Lanka. DCS faced many challenges, including GATS with the situation of country after Easter attack, 2 elections, and COVID-19 pandemic. The GATS survey provides vital information for initiating preventive measures against tobacco and tobacco products used among Sri Lankan adults, which is one of the main causes of non-communicable diseases in the nation. Sri Lanka has taken a variety of initiatives to minimize tobacco use in the national and worldwide scale. In November 2003, Sri Lanka became the first country overall and the first Asian country to ratify the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, that is called WHO FCTC. The Sri Lankan government also established new legislation, most notably the NATA Act 2007, as mentioned earlier, and altered several others to reflect this. Despite major effort to eliminate tobacco use and products, it produces decision makers still lack the data necessary to gauge the seriousness of the problem. The Global Adult Tobacco Survey 2020, GAS 2020, Sri Lanka will be very beneficial in bringing the data gaps. GATS 2020, Sri Lanka was country's first comprehensive survey to collect data on tobacco use among adults at all levels. The survey collected data on the respondents' backgrounds, characteristics, tobacco use, both smoking and smokeless, quitting second-hand smoking, and economics, media, as well as knowledge, attitudes, and viewpoints on tobacco use. I think the findings released today will be very helpful in developing regulations and forbid the use of cigarettes and related products. A series of GATS survey with temporal gaps is necessary to monitor the development of tobacco prevention efforts. It is commendable the WHO supports and survey financial and technically to make sure it was successful. I take this opportunity to convey my gratitude to U.S. Center for Diseases Control and Prevention, that is called CDC, and South Asia Regional Office, CIRO, and WHO country office in giving technical support and finance support for this survey, as well as excellent coordination throughout the survey. I conclude my speech by wishing that these statistics help decision makers to create more efficient strategies to make Sri Lanka a smoke-free country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Andrew Kumara. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like all of you to focus your attention on the screen, for we've got this video. It's a pre-recorded message from Dr. Indu Aluwalia, the Director, Center for Disease Control. And we must mention the fact that the Center for Disease Control did play a big role in the GATS survey. They supported Sri Lanka from the beginning. So let's have a look.
Hello, on behalf of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, I'm truly honored to virtually join you today for the release of data from the first Global Adult Tobacco Survey, or GATS, for Sri Lanka. My name is Dr. Indu Aluwalia, and I'm the Chief of the Global Tobacco Control Branch in the Office on Smoking and Health at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. In my role, I've had the privilege of witnessing everything from our initial planning to the release of data today. Today, I'd like to extend my hearty congratulations to the entire GATS Sri Lanka team and all involved along the way for your significant and successful achievement. I want to particularly acknowledge the Sri Lankan Ministry of Health, National Authority on Tobacco and Alcohol, and the Department of Census and Statistics for your leadership and commitment to the completion of GATS. This effort represents Sri Lanka's commitment to monitor tobacco use and impact of tobacco control measures over time. Today's World No Tobacco Day, an initiative by the World Health Organization with aim to spread awareness about the dangers of tobacco use. As one of the 36 countries to have released GATS data, Sri Lanka has shown determination for saving lives. I would like to recognize all the partners who worked hard to ensure the success of GATS in Sri Lanka. First, I would like to recognize country partners in Sri Lanka GATS team, Sri Lanka Ministry of Health, National Authority on Tobacco and Alcohol, Department of Census and Statistics. I would also like to thank for the support from the WHO Regional Office of Sierra and the WHO Sri Lankan Country Office, CDC Foundation, and the CDC team for working in coordination with Ministry of Health and partners to provide technical expertise for all phases of the GATS implementation in Sri Lanka. It's important to think of today as a new beginning. The data being released today will further drive your tobacco prevention policies for tomorrow and beyond. Despite our progress, opportunities remain to further improve tobacco control efforts and to build on the evidence-based strategies that can further reduce the burden of tobacco-related disease and death. The tobacco landscape is constantly changing, and we must change our approaches and leverage both local and global partnerships. I'm confident that Sri Lanka will continue to lead the way. This will require constant commitment of our highest local, national, and global partners. Thank you for your distinguished leadership, and again, hearty congratulations on your outstanding work. Thank you.
I'm sure we can have a better round of applause, even though she can't hear us. Apparently it's going live, so she'll probably know that the audience does appreciate all that they've done. Right, ladies and gentlemen, as Compere, I would appreciate the support we received from the World Health Organization towards conducting this event. And the speaker who's going to be addressing all of you right now, we thank her for her expertise and guidance and for invaluable support in organizing this event. Thank you very much. And without further ado, I would like to invite this personality to address you. Ladies and gentlemen, she took on the role of WHO representative in Sri Lanka in 2021. And with over 2 decades of experience in health and development, she has held various positions within the World Health Organization at regional and international level. Her expertise primarily lies in health systems, primary health care, and universal health coverage. Ladies and gentlemen, throughout her career, she has been involved in supporting countries in the Southeast Asia, African, and Eastern Mediterranean regions. She has played a key role in important WHO initiatives. In fact, her educational background encompasses economics and development. And in fact, she brings extensive experience and expertise in health systems, primary health care, and universal health coverage as her role as WHO representative in Sri Lanka. And of course, her diverse background, including work with the World Bank and active involvement in international initiatives, positions her well to contribute to the improvement of health and development in the country. It's my pleasure in inviting Dr. Alaka Singh, who is the WHO representative in Sri Lanka, to address you all.
Good morning to our distinguished guest, Honorable Minister, DG, Additional Secretaries, NATA Chair, senior officials from the Ministry of Health, and really across departments and governments. I'm very pleased to be here on behalf of WHO to commemorate World Tobacco Day. In fact, 2023 is the 20th anniversary of the adoption of the FTCT. The theme for this year, as we know, is we need food, not tobacco. This highlights the need for collaborative public health effort to shift away from tobacco farming to crops that meet the food and nutritional needs of households. Very relevant for Sri Lanka today. We're also launching the GATS report from the Global Adult Tobacco Survey for Sri Lanka, which was completed before the pandemic. And as we've heard, it's been an incredible collaborative effort and the first report for Sri Lanka. Let me just remind us that the FCTC is the first treaty negotiated under the auspices of WHO. It was adopted by the World Health Assembly in 2003, and indeed, as highlighted, Sri Lanka was one of the first countries to ratify the treaty. As of now, we have 182 of our 194 members who have signed up. Also, in February in 2016, Sri Lanka became the first country in the region to accede to the protocol to eliminate illicit trade in tobacco products. That's a key part of the FCTC. The FTCT was developed by WHO in response to the globalization of the tobacco epidemic. Tobacco, nicotine contained in tobacco is highly addictive, and tobacco use is a major risk factor for cardiovascular and respiratory diseases, over 20 different kinds or subtypes of cancer, and many other health conditions. Each year, more than 8 million people die due to tobacco use. Significantly, most tobacco-related deaths occur in our countries, low and middle-income countries, which are again often targets of intensive tobacco industry marketing. Tobacco can also be deadly for non-smokers. Secondhand smoke exposes over 1.2 million people to premature deaths annually. Nearly half of all children breathe air polluted by tobacco smoke, and almost 65,000 children die each year due to illness related to secondhand smoke. Smoking while pregnant, as we know, can lead to several lifelong health conditions for babies. Further, as pointed out today earlier, the total economic cost of smoking, both from expenditures, direct health expenditures, and productivities lost together, are estimated to be around $1.4 trillion a year, equivalent in terms of global GDP to almost 2%. And again, almost 40% of this cost is incurred by developing countries. Action on FCTC has no doubt had a positive impact. The 2021 Global Report on the Tobacco Epidemic estimated there are 20 million fewer smokers since 2015. However, we still have 3.2 billion smokers that still continue to be addicted. Trends indicate that many countries are in fact not on track to achieve the global target of 30% reduction in prevalence by 2030. In Sri Lanka, for Sri Lanka, WHO estimates that the prevalence could perhaps be lowered to 16.7% from the current level of 19.4%. Much more clearly needs to be done. I'd like to highlight that the FCTC represents a paradigm shift in developing a regulatory strategy to address addictive substances. In contrast to previous drug control treaties, it asserts the critical importance of both demand reduction as well as supply issues. On the demand side, to reduce the demand for tobacco products in Sri Lanka, WHO has been supporting the implementation of its global M-Power package of technical measures and resources that builds capacity of countries to implement 6 measures encapsulated by M-Power: monitor and use prevention policies, protect people from use, help to quit, warn about the dangers of use, enforce bans on advertising, promotion, and sponsorship, and raise taxes on tobacco. The GATS findings that we all have now in some detail provide some useful evidence for further prioritization and effective implementation of M-Power in Sri Lanka. I'd like to point out 4 key findings. First, of the 3.2 million tobacco users in Sri Lanka, only 1/3 attempt to quit, and only 10% or even less actually access formal facilities, formal services to help them quit. Second, there is an increase in the use of smokeless tobacco products, with nearly half users being exclusive smokeless tobacco users. Notably, tobacco smoking in women is less than 0.1% of the total, whereas the use of smokeless tobacco is nearly 5%. This is something that perhaps doesn't receive adequate attention in public health measures. Third, in Sri Lanka, tobacco products are still very affordable. A stick costs less than 60 rupees. Increasing taxation is one of the most cost-effective best buys for tobacco control and also raises additional revenues for health. Global estimates suggest a tax that increases tobacco prices by 10% decreases consumption by about 5% in low and middle income countries, and the impact is most evident among the youth. Fourth, we have to acknowledge that without adequate policies backed by strong enforcement and monitoring, nearly 1/3 of Sri Lanka's population will continue to be exposed to secondhand smoking in public places. WHO reiterates its commitment to partner Sri Lanka on stronger implementation of the M-Power. On the supply side, the tobacco industry encapsulates the entire complexity of commercial determinants of health: trade liberalization, direct foreign investment, global marketing, transnational tobacco advertising, promotion and sponsorship, and the international movement of contraband and counterfeit cigarettes. Keeping to the theme of this year, we really need to understand why tobacco farming continues to sit in the margins of tobacco control efforts. There's a recent review in the British Medical Journal, BMJ, of the empirical work on the political economy of tobacco that highlights 3 key areas of evidence. First, the analysis completely debunks the narrative that positions tobacco as an important driver of economic growth and developments. It's often argued that tobacco farming is an indispensable economic activity, an economic boon to governments, and a major source of employment. However, For the top 13 producers of unmanufactured leaves, and 3 out of the top 10 actually belong to this region, India, Indonesia, and Bangladesh. The share of tobacco in GDP does not exceed 3%. Tobacco's contribution to total exports is almost minimal, again, less than 3%, except for 3 countries in Africa. Africa has really been a target of the aggressive industry promotion for tobacco farming. Even the amount of agricultural land dedicated to tobacco is at its highest, 3% in China, but mostly less than 0.5% in other tobacco-growing countries. The share of farmers growing tobacco is no higher than 2%. Sri Lanka, in fact, at the WHO Global Conference on NCDs in October 2017, made a commitment to ban tobacco growing as part of the FCTC on alternative livelihoods to tobacco growing. Sri Lanka announced its intention to phase out tobacco cultivation within 5 years, with a reduction of about 15 to 20% every year. Of course, this effort has been stalled by COVID, but there's an opportunity now to pick up on it. There's an Institute of Policy Studies for Sri Lanka that indicates that in 1982, about 0.68% of the agricultural land was under tobacco cultivation, and this is quite similar to the top 13 that's been found globally. But by 2018, it was estimated to be only 0.06%. This highlights a drastic decline in the importance of tobacco in the cultivated crop mix. Production too has declined dramatically from about over 16,000 to under 3,500 metric tons in the same period. The Ministry of Agriculture estimates that there are about 300 farmers currently cultivating tobacco in Sri Lanka. There are others, but many farming households do not rely on tobacco as the main income source. They often cultivate as a supplementary income. The evidence on the economic impact on households, too, is contrary to claims made by the tobacco industry. In the region, Indonesia remains the only country not to ratify the FCTC. In Indonesia, after adjusting for labor and other costs, the most farming households make is about less than $350 a year. And even for the most profitable farming households, they typically fall well below the World Bank International Poverty line of $1.9 a day. In addition to the economic benefits, a second key argument for tobacco farming is a robust supply chain, including the access to markets that it gives to farmers. Again, the BMJ analysis found that tobacco farmers, in fact, have a relatively weak bargaining power in the supply chain. There's evidence from Brazil that extensively documents economic pressures due to paying back debts to the rich and large international tobacco firms. Finally, the case against tobacco farming, there is now clear evidence on its detrimental impact on health and the environment. Nearly 11.4 metric tons of wood is required annually for tobacco curing. Generally, tobacco is grown as a monocrop, and as a result, farmers apply large quantities of chemicals that are harmful to the environment and to their own health. Recent evidence from Argentina highlights that children are particularly vulnerable, also due to high rates of smoking found among youth involved in tobacco farming. In Sri Lanka, tobacco farming is linked to an estimated soil loss of 70 metric tons per hectare per year. It's far higher than any other crop. Analysis for Sri Lanka also shows that there are several potential alternative crops that can be cultivated under the same agroecological conditions, generating year-round income with lower cost of cultivation and requiring less labor than tobacco. There is, in fact, a strong evidence-based case for more food, not tobacco, for health, for social development, and for economic growth. The situation in Sri Lanka, as always, compares very well with other countries. And in fact, Sri Lanka, in a way, has led the way on tobacco control. However, we do need to be vigilant during times of social and economic stress. WHO again reiterates its commitment to support and advance tobacco control in Sri Lanka. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Singh, for giving us an insight and your valuable contribution. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I generally never use a sheet of paper to read the profile of our next speaker, for I have always held him in high esteem. I've compared so many events where he's been the chief guest. And in fact, when the organizers asked me, Faisal, should we give you a profile? I said, no way, I don't need it, because I say it in my own words. For me and for many people, I'm sure you'll agree that he is a very respected politician, and he's held many top ministerial portfolios during his tenure in politics. So without further ado, I have the pleasure of inviting our chief guest, Honorable Dr. Kehelia Rambukwala, Minister of Health, to address you all.
Good morning, all of you all. Venerable Aludeniya Sobhita Thera, the Chief Incumbent of Seruvilla Rajamaha Vihara, Dr. Alaka Singh, WJ Representative to Sri Lanka, Additional Secretaries, DG, all other representatives of various departments and ministries, all respective government officials and other distinguished invitees, and members, Chairman and the members of NATA. Today, we observe the No Tobacco, or World No Tobacco Day. While I believe that every day should be No Tobacco Day, why select one day? Because your final aim is to find a country, if possible, maybe a huge task, uphill task, a no tobacco country and a tobacco world at the end of the day. Today we take a special moment to use it as a reminder of the powerfully detrimental impact that the use of tobacco has on human life, the human society, and the environment at large. We need food, not tobacco. The theme of this year, World No Tobacco Day, brings home a very real-world crisis and hopes to raise awareness among the tobacco crop farmers that perhaps a pivot in the product is the vital need of the hour, that perhaps crops which are sustainable and nutritious to mankind need to be made priority. In order for this to manifest, the transition needs to be encouraged and filtered from top to bottom. Governments and policymakers need to recognize this need and themselves initiate this change. Education programs and incentives need to be trickled down to farmers so they shift to sustainable crops by creating viable market ecosystems for these alternatives. Mobilizing this change in culture has a double-edged benefit to markets and the mankind. Not only will it address the global food shortage crisis, we also economically and sustainability pivot or the harmful efforts that accompany tobacco consumption. This should be our goal. In Sri Lanka, the National Authority on Tobacco and Alcohol has been steadfast in combating tobacco consumption, and we take immense pride in being the first country in Asia to ratify the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control through various strategies and collaborative endeavors. We have diligently worked towards improving the livelihoods of our community by reducing tobacco consumption. Notably, we have recently initiated the Global Adult Tobacco Survey in Sri Lanka, an important step in monitoring the prevalence of tobacco smoking. The results of this survey has shown a commendable reduction in tobacco consumption, which I suspect are largely due to the pandemic and the spike on cost of living, both of which are factors we cannot and would not want to replicate. However, this problem still remains in great concern to our country. Our commitment remains unwavering as we strive to overcome these obstacles and further reduce tobacco consumption in all its forms. The implementation of effective tobacco-related policies is crucial in achieving our objectives of both demand-supply reduction. It is our vision to witness a tobacco-free country where the importance of healthy living trumps the need for it. I would like to express my gratitude to the responsible parties, particularly NATA, as well as the other governmental and non-governmental bodies, for their unwavering commitment to combating tobacco and ensuring the health and the prosperity of our community free from harms of tobacco. Let us stand united in our determination, embracing a future where tobacco no longer holds sway, and the pursuit of good health and well-being becomes our collective priority. Together we can create a brighter and a healthier world for ourselves and future generations. This is not an easy fight. After all, Mark Twain himself said, "Giving up smoking is easy. I have done it hundreds of times." Now, let me say that I think we had very important statistics coming first from our DG and amply supported by the Dr. Alaka Singh, the representative of the WHO. As I finished saying that it's a tough job, what I want to emphasize, what Mark Twain has said, he has given up smoking 100 times because it's a challenge that's before us. As the statistics stands, I suppose they are elaborated or distorted, or some of the statistics I think is challengeable. And we should. And that's the way to move forward, because these statistics that are before us perhaps may be misleading, and they go by that. And the person who wants to smoke or who wants to get involved, indulgent in these things, they will use these statistics. I have come across people who will use these statistics and say, well, whatever you say, it is not so. See, these are the statistics that are given officially or somewhat appears to be officially. So you are having a gigantic challenge before you. Because addiction is something that one has to get out. Then also the farming. Dr. Alaka Singh said that about the GDP and the contribution from the tobacco farming. But there can be alternatives. There should be alternatives. And I don't think in the ancient history of any of those countries, there were enough and more to eat rather than smoke. So it is an obvious factor that all this is a more business magnitude or business kind of activities rather than the need base or the GDP or the contribution to a GDP of any country. I think that must be remembered. And then the next is, this is a head-on challenge. You see, I have been approached by some institutions just to say that we have, instead of tobacco, which is seriously harmful, and they say more than the nicotine is a tar, so we have produced something which is with less tar. But that has not been tested yet. Nothing has been time tested. At least smoking has been time tested, and you have the statistics of the deaths over a period of years, and then those deaths are directly connected to, I think, cardiac and various other issues, cancers and various things, which is very prevalent today in the world. So therefore, I think I don't want to take more time. I was very impressed with the statistics that was available, and these statistics will have to be taken up and go by one and try and disprove them. And that's a task that before us. It's a huge challenge because there's a lot of, I think, it's this huge amount of considerations that have been thrown over all this. So therefore, you will have to take it up as a challenge. And the whole team here, I think, is of that view. And I think that contribution that is made from governmental organizations, non-governmental organizations, international organizations, they all, I think, is for it. And then I have noticed, now, some time ago, if you look at the Sri Lankan leaders, starting from Honorable D.S. Senanayake downwards, the political leaders, right? You saw a cigar or a cigarette. And there's only one photograph in the world of Winston Churchill without a cigar. And that is the photographer wanted everything set, and he said, "Sir, arrange it." And then the other fellow took the photo and he pulled the cigar out. And that's the only photo in the world that you have of Prime Minister Winston Churchill without the cigar. So obviously you can see the addiction and the kind of social etiquette. Some time ago it was a social etiquette to have a smoke. Today it is a social menace. Build it up. Develop on it. Make people feel shame. You find even in the five-star hotels, now nobody smokes. They're in a tiny little corridor. Some fellows who are so addicted take a couple of puffs and throw it away. So what you have to do is to make sure and ensure that shame is attached to it rather than a social etiquette. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sir, for your thought-provoking address. And we are now moving on to another special moment. Can I please invite Dr. Alan Levite, Chairman of NATA, on stage, as we've got to present two tokens of appreciation to two very special individuals for their valuable contribution. First, to Honorable Dr. Kehelia Rambukwala, Minister of Health, our chief guest. So we have a token of appreciation to be presented to you. Yes. There's one more time you need to come up. One more time. Thank you. I'm sure we can put our hands together for a round of applause, everybody. And we have certainly not forgotten you, the WHO country representative, Dr. Alaka Singh. Yeah, the stairs. Sure you can manage? Can I help you? Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the National Authority on Tobacco and Alcohol, NATA, has experienced a lack of counselors related to the cessation of prevention of tobacco and alcohol. And of course, to address this issue, NATA decided to create a curriculum and commence a certificate course. And the third batch of the certificate course commenced on the 17th of January 2023. And 32 candidates were involved with it. There are 30 candidates who successfully completed the practical and theoretical examination. And today, they will receive their certificates. And of course, in the near future, they will provide their volunteer services for the 1948 quitline service. Well, to present these certificates, I need to invite our chief guest once again. Sir, can we have you on stage? Also, Dr. Alaka Singh. This is good exercises for you all. Dr. Alaka Singh. Also, Dr. Asela Gunawardena, Mr. Shakir Nanakara, Dr. Alan Dudavike, and Dr. Cyril Dialvis. Honorable Dr. Kehelia Rabukwala will present the first few certificates. Can you please come up, all the recipients? HKRD Hettiarachi. Savini Viranga Kirtisengha. Janta De Silva. Come on, put your hands together, give them a round of applause. Dedunu Sandhu Tarakarupa Singha. Dedunu Sandhu Tarakarupa Singha. Uduvarage Sachit Randika. And GPPBP Nanakara. I'm sure we can put our hands together and give them a better round of applause because they're going to be doing a volunteer service. Dr. Alaka Singh, I'd like you to present the next few certificates to PAK Sandeepani, Harshika Madhushani, Hiba Vasagamage Asanka Kalyanapriya, NAIM Vijayawardena, Rachita Gisara Hibapanna, Ranga Desh Rajanayaka. Dr. Asela Gunawardena, can I have you to step forward to present the next few certificates to PGPD Gunaratna, WOK Kumara, Surya Kumar Dinushant, Ravindu Gayan De Silva, Tanasegaram Tishe Kopan. And Mr. Shakir Nanakara, I'd like you to step forward to present the next few certificates to WWMK De Silva. Come on, put your hands together for a round of applause. Also, Muhammad Jaufer Muhammad Usman. Iresh Darshana. Oshini Gayatri Balasuriya. Hetyarachi Yashan Kavindu. And Dr. Allen, you need to present the last few. That's to Ishini Hansika, Mihiri De Silva, Shashini Bunsara, Nilmini Abesekara, Fatima Farzana, and P. Abhiram. Can I please request all of you who got your certificates, අපිට group photograph එකක් ගන්න තියෙනවා. කට්ටියම ඉස්සරහට ආවොත් හොඳයි. certificate එක. Come on, put your hands together, give all of them another round of applause. කට්ටියම එන්න ඉක්මනට. I'm sure we can put our hands together and give them another round of applause. Everybody, let's hear it. A group photograph, everybody. Israel, stage again. Thank you very much. Well, we're now going to take a break for tea. Well, I'd like to inform all of you that the tea will be served at the Earl's Court, which is located outside of this hall, and all directions are being given. So invite all of you to the Earl's Court for tea. It's a tea break. Welcome back, everybody. I'm sure we had an awesome session earlier on, and just after tea, I'm sure all of you are in the mood to listen to some very important presentations and speeches. Let me tell you all that this wonderful event has been organized with all these LED walls and all these wonderful presentations by Design Waves Private Limited. Thank you, Mr. Dhammika Malavarachi, for doing a great job. So without further ado, let's begin with the first of our presentations. I would like to invite Statistician Sample Survey Division, Department of Census and Statistics, for his presentation on GATS results and way forward policy implementation. I'd like to invite Mr. T.D. MSD Pereira. Everybody put your hands together and give him a round of applause. Mr. Pereira.
Thank you very much. When Aludeniye Subodhitero, Dr. Alaka Singh, who country representative, Dr. Alan Ludovic, I beg your pardon, all additional secretaries, Director General of Health, Director General of Department of Census and Statistics, and all other dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. We all know we successfully completed the Global Adult Tobacco Survey, GATS, as a NSO. The Department of Census and Statistics completed GATS with the collaboration with the NATA and the WHO, first time in Sri Lanka. So we know today is No Tobacco Day. For my parties here is our outcome from the GATS to deliver key findings and conclusion. Let's see what we found from the survey, tobacco survey. Actually, I like to introduce the GATS as a tool, not a survey. Because we all know GATS means Global Adult Tobacco Survey. It is a component of a global tobacco surveillance system. Why it is a component? There are two components. One is JITS and this one is GATS. And GATS is a global standard for systematically monitoring adult tobacco use and tracking key tobacco control indicators, also designed to produce national and subnational estimates among adults across the country. So we could complete successfully that tool, and I add this GATS country map here, but you can identify we are not there because we still not introduce our information, that means findings to the surveillance system. And next time we can see with the green Sri Lanka, orange Sri Lanka. Next, I like to explain the methodology. Methodology means how we achieve this task in Sri Lanka. We know we did this as a first time in Sri Lanka. So I'm not going to explain much to technical part here. What are the sampling methodology wise? I simply add what is the GATT population and what is the sample. GATT population is all civilians, a non-institutionalization population of men and women 15 years of older usually reside in Sri Lanka. It's very simple. All Sri Lankan, that means household population. From that population, we draw a sample according to the GATT sample manual. Because I already said this, the GATS is a tool. So for every step, they provide a manual. That means GATS is fully systematic tool. So it was easy to us to draw a sample because every instructions were there. Based on that, we selected 7,172 households from 598 primary sample units. Forget about that. What is primary sample unit? This is multi-stage sampling. That's why primary sample units and secondary sample units were there. And one individual was randomly selected from each participating household to complete the survey. That means this survey is an individual personal interview survey. First we selected the household, then we pick one person randomly from that household and interview. So I think you got a brief idea about how we handle the fieldwork in the field. Then I add our population distribution graph here because of one reason. Not maybe in the future, maybe arising in the future is a problem with the step survey. When we go through this presentation, you know our figures. Sometimes it is crash with the step survey. If you can get a clear idea from this graph, it would be easy in the future to understand step figures. So this is population distribution mean. This is the GATT population, GATT's population distribution. 15 years old population. I think now you can see the portion of step survey target population. So I think in the future you won't be able matter to understand the step figures. Let's see the questionnaire we used. The questionnaire also the very systematic co-questions collection provided from the CDC. It had two parts, household and individual part. first we translate that questionnaire into our local languages, Sinhala and Tamil. Those questions we applied to collect data from the field. From household questionnaire, question concerning the number of members and ages of the family members in the household, and detail of selected eligible member of the household for administering individual questionnaire. That part included in the household questionnaire. First we fill out the household questionnaire, and after that we pick a person randomly to complete the individual questionnaire. From individual questionnaire we collect more specific information to the tobacco use. These are the components we collected from individual questionnaire: background, characteristics, tobacco, smoking, smokeless tobacco. I think these words are more familiar for you. Cessation, second-hand smoke, economics, media, knowledge, attitudes and perception. This is specific part to the tobacco use we collect from the selected individual person. Let's move to the key findings. This is the common finding came from the GATS survey. What is the multiple type of tobacco products are used in Sri Lanka, including both smoking and smokeless form. We all know this is that is obvious. Smoking, as example, manufacture cigarettes, Surutu, likewise BD also there. Smokeless, bead liquid with tobacco, loose tobacco, and commercial preparations. I think about commercial preparation, you know more than me. Let's go for the graph to tobacco use by form. Form mean smokeless and smoking. Using of tobacco any form, there were 36.2% males use any form of tobacco at that time. That means in 2020. Sometimes we don't know after COVID what will be the usage. In total, males and females, 19.4. That is the figure we always said. The tobacco use of Sri Lanka is 19.4. 19.4% adult use any form of tobacco. When we go to smokeless tobacco, before going to smoking, you can see there is a female part. That means 4.9% females were used smokeless tobacco. Luckily, how about smoking? Still we can happy with our ladies. Why? Because that figure is negligible. That is almost 0% smoking among women, adult women. When we go into tobacco cessation, smoking, we can divide it to smoking and smokeless. Smoking cessation, 34.6 of adults who smoke tobacco, that include also adult who currently smoke and adult who quit in the past 12 months. Both are included in for this figure. Made a quit attempt in the past 12 months. That's why both part are included, because we consider past 12 months when we collecting the data from the field. Okay. Similarly, smokeless tobacco use cessation, 23.6% of adults who use smokeless tobacco, that also same, there are two parts, adults who currently use smokeless tobacco and adults who quit in the past 12 months, because our reference period is past 12 months preceding the survey. Made a quit attempt in the past 12 months. Right. When we see the quitting attempts by cessation method, the highest percentage in smoking and smokeless both are represent in attempt to quit without assistance. Attempt to quit without assistance, that almost over 70%. Smokeless 73.7, smoking 76.7. Others are to compare with the without assistance, those are very small percentages. So let's see in the future. And next, second-hand smoke exposure. This is the most pathetic situation in the country, because they don't taste the tobacco, but they smoke. Among adults who work indoor, 16.7% were exposed to tobacco smoke in their workplace in past 30 days. 30 days mean our reference period is last month when we collecting the information. Likewise, 32.6% of people who visited cafe, coffee shops or tea houses reported being exposed to second-hand smoke during the visit. These are percentages, so we have to consider with the counts. If we can add the population into that percentage, we can think, we have to think more. Nearly half of the adults, 49%, saw someone smoking in an open public place with 30 days preceding the survey. How about that? Half of the population. They said at their interview time, they already saw the people are smoking in public area. I here display the graph, only non-smokers. How non-smokers exposed to second-hand smoking by place. So 9.2% recorded cafes, coffee shop or tea houses. They exposed to second-hand smoke. For next chapter is our economics. Overall, 92.8% of adults who currently smoke manufactured cigarettes made their last purchase in stores. That means wholesale and retail shops. Because we, in Sri Lanka, I think it's still not much what is that? Distribute the vending machine likewise. I think that's why they said that means kadeng gatta kiyala kiyanne. They said wholesale and retail shops. Among adults who currently smoke cigarettes, the average amount spent for 20 manufactured cigarettes at their last purchase was 1,237.8 cents, and median is 1,289.9 Sri Lankan rupees. Sometimes this statement misleading us. This amount is for the 20 manufactured cigarette, isn't it? No. It can't be. Everywhere in Sri Lanka, 20 manufactured cigarette prices equal, same price. So what is this? This is when we collecting the information, when we interview the respondent, we ask how much you spend for, if you purchase, your last purchase have done for the 20 manufactured cigarette. If he or she purchased 20 manufactured cigarette, how much they spend for at that time? These figures are the average amount for this type of expenditure. I think it might be clear. Likewise, second statement is for the BDs. Among adults who currently smoke BDs, the average amount spent on 20 BDs, here also need to include at last purchase, 142.7 Sri Lankan rupees. Median also 118.3 Sri Lankan rupees. And next statement is the average expenditure on manufactured cigarette per month was 5,454.3. That means this is average amount of expenditure for cigarettes. Likewise, average amount of expenditure for BDs was 1,368.7. Median is 811.1 Sri Lanka, all are Sri Lankan rupees. I think these figures are clear. If somebody wants to go for more than that, for beyond that, I think our executive summary provide more information than this presentation. And media campaign. Among all adults, 81.1% noticed anti-cigarette information in any location during the past 30 days. They said 81.1% of adults noticed anti-cigarette information in any location. And estimated 23.2% of adults noticed anti-BD smoking information in various places during the past 30 days. What do you think this statement? Did anyone show in anywhere anti-BD? This is sometimes when we watch the teledrama, if someone start to smoke a BD, at that time subtitle also appear, smoke kill, likewise. So, the viewer think this is anti-BD. These are the figures, 23.2 of adult. Notice anti-BD smoking. If you analyze for the residential area wise, sometimes it might more reported from the rural area. Might be, not exactly. Nearly 52.5 of adults notice anti-smokeless tobacco use information in various places during the 30 days preceding the survey. These are common figures. Among adults who smoke tobacco, 87.5 notice health warning on cigarette packages. This is critical. Why? They know anti-smoke advertisement and notice in the cigarette packs, 87.5 of adults, but they still smoke. .7 of adults notice anti-cigarette smoking information on television and or radio. Also, 20.4 of adults notice marketing of any tobacco products advertising on promotion in movies. In here, movie means chitrapati in the Rupahini or cinema. Not the cinemas. Because the GATS co-questionnaire, they ask about cinemas. We know in our cinema halls, it's totally prohibited to have smoke. We change it into movie. Likewise, 26.2 of adults notice any tobacco products, advertisement, promotions, or sporting events sponsorship. That means still they are advertising and campaigning. Likewise, 48.9 of current smokers thought about quitting because of warning labels. It's green light. Our last chapter in the questionnaire, knowledge, attitude, and perceptions. 92.6 of adults believe smoking causes serious illnesses. They know. Among all adults, 95.3 believed that smoking causes lung cancers, 91.5 believe it causes a heart attack, 63.8 believe it causes a stroke, and 32.4% believe it causes diabetes. Overall, 94.9 of adults believe that second-hand smoke causes serious illnesses for those who did not smoke. When we go through these figures, I think our tobacco smoking rate, tobacco using rate is 19.1. And here 92.6, they know that might be reason for the illnesses. So they are when we take these two figures, there is a overlap. That means they know they die, but they still use. Let's move on to conclusion. The way forward. continue periodic monitoring of tobacco use to guide implementation of national tobacco control laws in line with WHO FCTC provisions, the Empower package, which are evidence-based, cost-effective intervention to reduce tobacco use. Design and implement tobacco control mass media campaign with maximum outreach to cover all types of tobacco products. Build tobacco control capacity among healthcare providers and strengthen cessation facilities in healthcare settings and in local communities. Implement 100% smoke-free policies that covers all public places and workplaces to fully protect individuals who do not smoke from exposure to second-hand smoke. Implement large graphic health warning with regular rotation on all tobacco products packages, including BDs and smokeless tobacco products. I think we all already have cigarettes. Effectively enforce comprehensive ban on tobacco advertisements, promotion and sponsorships, including tobacco advertisements online or in movies. Raise the price of tobacco products to reduce affordability and accessibility and index tobacco products to inflation to ensure that price increase on a continuous basis so the measures continue to be effective. Develop targets interventions to tackle the rising use of smokeless tobacco and Erica nuts products. Finally, implement setting-based programs to prevent young adults from initiating tobacco use. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pereira, for your presentation. I hate to do this, but this is a Ministry of Health vehicle, apparently. PF 8081. PF 8081. The security wants you to remove this vehicle immediately. Apparently, you're blocking a particular area. PF 8081. Right, we continue with our next speech. This is, in fact, an address. I'd like to invite Mr. Shakir Nanekara, Chairman of the National Dangerous Drug Control Board, to give us his presentation, his speech regarding the tobacco control towards the reduction of the drug prevalence in Sri Lanka. All yours, Doctor.
Garutara Swamin Wahanse, Chairman NATA, Dr. Ludwig, and other distinguished government officers and other participants here today. First of all, let me thank NATA for inviting me, the Chairman NDDCB, to share some thoughts with you. I don't have any formal presentation, but the topic given to me is tobacco control towards the reduction of the drug prevalence in Sri Lanka. So I think first of all, I have to give some details about the prevalence of drugs in Sri Lanka. So if you look at our statistics, we have a research division in NDDCB. According to that, in Sri Lanka, we have about 120,000 heroin users in the country. Then about 300,000 to 400,000 cannabis users. About ice, the methamphetamine. These days, we are engaging in a survey, community survey with the police and other departments on methamphetamine prevalence. So I asked them roughly how many would be there, the methamphetamine users. They said about 50,000, and that was my estimation also. So other drugs, of course, you know, now we see this pharmaceutical drug, about 25,000, so that is the usage. And when I compare it with the tobacco use and alcohol use, අපි දැක්කා 1,20,000ක් විතර heroin usersලා, ඊළඟට 3,50,000 සිට 1,04,000ක් විතර cannabis usersලා, ඊට පස්සේ ice කොච්චරද? දැන් අපි මෙතන ඉන්නවනේ මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් වැඩ කරන, නමුත් අපිට පේන්නේ 50,000ක් විතර ice usersලා ඉන්නවා. But the good news is now, if you look at the trend, they are coming down. For some reason, they are coming down, and we know the reasons also. Right. මේවා දැන් ක්‍රමක්‍රමයෙන් අඩුවීම අපිට තියෙන එක සහනයක් ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ගත්තොත්. දැන් අපි පොඩ්ඩක් බලන්න ඕන කල්පනා කරලා දැන් හැම තිස්සෙම දැන් මම ඊළඟට පොඩ්ඩක් ඇහුවා මේ හෙරොයින් යූසර්ස් ලගෙන් ඩ්‍රග් යූසර්ස් වලින් අපේ ආයතනයේ තියෙනවානේ ස්ථාන ගණනාවක් මේ ඩ්‍රග් යූස් එක ගැන ට්‍රීට්මන්ට් කරන තැන්. ඒතර අපිට හමු වෙනවා මේ භාවිතා කරන අය. ඊට අමතරව අන්තරායකර ඖෂධ පාලක ජාතික මණ්ඩලයේ ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ වගකීම තමයි මේ ලංකාවේ අනිත් මධ්‍යස්ථාන තියෙනවා නම් ඒවයෙත් ගිහිල්ලා මේ ප්‍රතිකාරය යම් ආකාරයකට ක්‍රමවත්ව හදන එක. එතකොට මේ හැමෝගෙම ඇහුවාම අපිට පේන එක තමයි ඒ වැඩි දෙනෙක් ඉස්සල්ලාම කරලා තියෙන්නේ දුම්පානය. එහෙම නැත්නම් ස්මෝක්ලස් ටොබැකෝ භාවිතය කියන එක තමයි දැන් අපිට පේන්නේ. දැන් අපි ප්‍රෙවලන්ස් අරගෙන බැලුවොත්, so the previous presentation indicates that there are about 3.2 million smokers in the country. ලක්ෂ 30ක් smokers ලා ඉන්න අපේ රටේ. හැබැයි එකෙන් ලක්ෂ 15ක් ස්මෝකින්, වැඩි සංඛ්‍යාවක් ඉන්නේ. මම අද කියන්න ආපු කාරණේ ඒ ස්ටැටිස්ටික්ස් වලින් කියවෙච්ච නිසා මම ඒක අතාරිනවා. ඒ තමයි මේ අපේ අවධානය යොමු කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා ස්මෝක්ලස් ටොබැකෝ වලට. මොකද හුඟක් ප්‍රිවෙන්ෂන් ට්‍රීට්මන්ට් අවධානය යොමු වෙනවා අඩුයි මේ ස්මෝක්ලස් ටොබැකෝ වලට. නමුත් මෙතනදී ඒක මතුවීම ඉතාමත්ම ලස්සනයි, ඉතාමත්ම හොඳයි. එතකොට ලංකාවේ දැන් මෙතන ඉන්නවානේ ඔක්කොම විද්වතුන්, so the experts are here. I just would like to raise the question, how many alcohol users are there in Sri Lanka? I think Nata must also have some statistics on this. එතන මගේ හිතවත් අපේ මම මේක මගේ ඉලක්කමක් තියෙනවා. ඒ ඉලක්කම කියන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා මම ඇහුවා මේ සුරාබදු කොමසාරිස්තුමාගෙන් මෙතන ඉන්න ඔබතුමා එහෙම ෆිගර් එකක් දන්නවද කියලා. නැහැ. මම හිතන්නේ එහෙම ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ. ඒක ටිකක් ගන්න කිරීම අමාරුයි. ඒ නිසා මට මගේ කීත හැකි. මම හිතනවා ලක්ෂ 30ක් විතර ඉන්නවා කියලා මද්යසාර භාවිතා කරන අයත් ඔය අතරේ. ඊට වැඩි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. කරදරකාරී මද්ද්‍රව්‍ය භාවිතය, මද්යසාර භාවිතය ලක්ෂ 20කට 25කට විතර සීමා වෙනවා. නමුත් භාවිතය අපි අහන්නේ පහුගිය මාසේ කොච්චරක්, පහුගිය මාසෙකට නැත්නම් පහුගිය අවුරුද්දකට එකපාරක් බිව්වත් ගයින්නවනේ ඔකේ. ඒතර එහෙම ප්‍රශ්නකුත් තියෙනවා මේ ගණනය කිරීම පිළිබඳව. එතකොට දැන් ඒ සංඛ්‍යාවල් අරගෙන බැලුවාම අපිට පේනවා මේ හાર્ඩ් ඩ්‍රග්ස් ගන්න අයගේ මුල පටන් ගැනීම තියෙන්නේ ඉස්ලාම දුම්පානයෙන්. ඒ නිසා මම අන්තරායකර ඖෂධ පාලක ජාතික මණ්ඩලයේ හිටියත් අපිට හුඟක් වෙලාවට අපේ මැන්ඩේට් එක, normally the mandate is on OPD, කියන්නේ මේ පොඩ් එකේ POD ඇක්ට් එක යටතේ තමයි අපිට යන්න තියෙන්නේ. poisons, opium and dangerous drugs කියලා කිව්වට අපේ ප්‍රිවෙන්ෂන් පාර්ට් එකේදී අපි අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ටොබැකෝ, ඇල්කොහොල් ඇඩ්‍රස් කරනවාමයි. ඒකට හේතුව ඉතාමත්ම පැහැදිලි. මේ මොකද්ද මේ හේතුව කියන එක පිළිබඳව. දැන් ඊළඟට අපි පොඩ්ඩක් කල්පනා කරලා බලන්න ඕනේ මේ ඇයි මේ ටොබැකෝ භාවිතා කරපු අය ඊට පස්සේ මේ හાર્ඩ් ඩ්‍රග්ස් වලට යන්නේ කියන ප්‍රශ්නය අපි පොඩ්ඩක් මතු කරලා ගන්න ඕනේ. Why they are shifting from smoking and then to hard drug like heroin, cannabis, or methamphetamine? ඒකට හේතුව මොකද්ද? දැන් මේක විග්‍රහ කරන ක්‍රම දෙකක් තියෙනවා මං හිතන හැටියට. එකක් තමයි මේ addiction කියන එක විග්‍රහ කිරීමේදී තියෙන that brain get addicts to nicotine first and they seek some kind of it's not even a stimulation but stimulation එකක් ඕන නිසා drugs වලට යනවා කියන එක පිළිබඳව තියෙන එක දෙයක්. මම මේ කියන කතාව ඊටම වැදගත් වෙනවා prevention and treatment දෙකට. මේකයි මම මේක විශේෂයෙන්ම සඳහන් කරන්නේ. අපි මෙතන ඉන්න වැඩි සංඛ්‍යාවක් මේ නිවාරණ හා ප්‍රතිකාරයේ යෙදෙන අය හා පොළවේ පය ගහලා මද්ද්‍රව්‍ය නිවාරණ කටයුතු වලට මේ රටේ වැඩ කරන අය නිසා මම විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ අවධානය මෙතෙන්ට ඒ අයගේ අවධානයට යොමු කරන්න ඕනේ. නමුත් ඔය පාසල් දරුවෝ ඔය ඉඳලා හිටලා භාවිතා කරන භාවිතාවට මොලේ ඇඩික්ෂන් එකක් ඇති වෙනවා කියලා හිතන එක ගත්තොත් ඒක එච්චරම සාර්ථක එකක් නෙමෙයි. මොකද මේකෙන් ක්විට් කරන ප්‍රමාණය අරගත්තාම. Do you know that in Sri Lanka although we say that we have 120,000 heroin users, 400,000 drug cannabis users, then 50,000 ice or methamphetamine users, how many individuals actually quit in a year? If you think about the hard drugs, we have capacity to treat only about 900 individuals in the country. So if you calculate all the facilities available, if you see all the facilities available, it is nothing more than 3,000. එක අවුරුද්දකට ওই සෙන්ටර්ස් හරහා යන්නේ 3,000යි. නමුත් so I had a discussion with the College of Psychiatrists also. So දැන් මෙතන මේකේ තියෙනවා attempt කරන එක 130 ගාණක් attempt කරනවා බලක්ව ගන්න. නමුත් අපිට තියෙන දත් අනුව කියන්න පුළුවන් මේක ඉතාම වැදගත් එකක්. ඒ තමයි මොකක්ද? ලංකාවේ වසරකට 40,000ක සිට 60,000ක් දක්වා ප්‍රමාණයක් ඔය කිසිම මාර්ගෝපදේශයක් නැතුව නවත්තනවා. මම මේ කියන්නේ ටොබැකෝ ඇල්කොහොල් කියන්නේ නෙමෙයි. එහෙම නෙමෙයි නම් අපිට ඒක දැනුම් දෙන්න. එතකොට දැනට තියෙන තත්ත්වය අනුව 40,000ක් 50,000ක් 60,000ක් අතර ප්‍රමාණයක් ඔය මොනම ප්‍රතිකාරයක්වත් නැතුව කවුන්සලර් කෙනෙක් හමු වෙන්නේ නැතුව මනෝවිද්‍යාත්මක ප්‍රතිකාර ගන්න නැතුව වෛද්‍යවරයෙක්ගෙන් උපදෙස් නැතුව නවත්තනවා. හිතුවා නැවැත්තුවා. කසාදයක් බඳිනවා හොඳ ගෑනු ළමෙක් ඉන්නවා නැවැත්තුවා. හොඳ රසාවක් ඇඳුනා මෙච්චර කාලයක් ගංජා භාවිතා කර හිටියා නැවැත්තුවා. එච්චරයි. එතකොට දැන් මට College of Psychiatrists ඇවිල්ලා බොහොම ලොකු තර්ජනයකුත් දුන්නා. ඒ තමයි මොකද්ද ඉස්සෙල්ලම කරුණා කරලා ඔය 40,000ට නවත්තන එක නම් වලක්වන්න එපා. උන්ට නතර කරන්න ඉඩ දෙන්න. මොකක් හරි බවභූතයක් දැම්මොත් ඒ 40,000ට නවත්තන එක වැළකෙන්න පුළුවන්. For example, if we say to quit heroin that you have to go through a treatment process with methadone කියලා දැම්මොත් එහෙම කාර්යය. දැන් methadone ඕනේ මේ drug use එක නවත්තන්න කියලා දැම්මොත් එහෙම මොකද වෙන්නේ? මට College of Psychiatrists ඇවිල්ලා කිව්වා ඒගොල්ලෝ ගාව ඉන්න සංඛ්‍යාවත් අඩුයි මේක කරන්නත් බෑ. හරිද? අවසාන වශයෙන් මොකද වෙන්නේ? අපි බැරි වෙලාවත් එක ප්‍රචාරය කරලා දුන්නොත් එහෙම අර ඉන්න 40,000ට ඉබේ නැවෙතන අපි මේක තවත් අමාරු කරලා දෙනවා. ඒ නිසා ඒක ලේසි කරලා දෙන්න. So one area that we are working now is this outreaching and go to people and say anyone can stop drug use. So evidence is there. If you look at, and only thing that will, and at the same time the conducive environment has to be created. So the prevention and treatment, people who are engaged in prevention and treatment, they have to create this conducive environment for the people to quit substance use, and this is applicable to tobacco use and alcohol use as well. So I myself was a campaigner from 1990s on tobacco quitting. අපි අවුරුදු මම හිතන්නේ මගේ තරුණ කාලේ මගේ කාලය ගත කරා 90 දශකයේ පුරාවට මේ ලංකාවේ විශාල සංඛ්‍යාවක් දුම්පානය නතර කළා. හැම ගෑකම ඇතුලේ තිබුණා ඇෂ්ට්‍රේ එක. රජයේ කන්තෝරුවකට ගියාම එයා ගාව ඉස්සර ඇෂ්ට්‍රේ එක. හැබැයි ওই ඇෂ්ට්‍රේස් ඔක්කොම ඉවත් උනේ නාට ඇක්ට් එක එන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා. හරි එතකොට කැම්පේන් එකක් තුලින්. හැබැයි ඒ නවත්තුවේ නිකොටින් පැචස් ගැන දන්නෙත් නෑ ඒ කාලේ. නිකොටින් සබ්ස්ටිටියුෂන් වලින් නෙමෙයි. කවුන්සලින් වලින් නෙමෙයි. How did they stop? Right? දොස්තර මහත්තුරු නෙමෙයි. ගෙදර පොඩි කෙල්ල කිව්වා තාත්තා නැමැත්තුවා. පුතා කිව්වා තාත්තා නැමැත්තුවා. ගර්ල්ෆ්‍රෙන්ඩ් කිව්වා කොල්ලා නැමැත්තුවා. එහෙනම් මේ ඇඩික්ෂන් කියන එක අපිට මේ කියන સંદર્ભය ඇතුලේ කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ කියන එක පිළිබඳව ප්‍රශ්නයක් අපිට මතුවෙනවා. so අපි අර කිව්වොත් එහෙම කාර්යය මේක මේ කිමිකල් ඇඩික්ෂන් එහෙම නැත්නම් මෙහෙමයි මේක නතර පවත්වාගත්තොත් නතර ගන්න අමාරුයි මේක මෙහෙමයි කියලා අපි ජනමතයක් හැදුවොත් අර 40000ට ඉවත් වෙන්න අමාරු වෙන අතර මම තාම ගණන දන්නේ නැහැ ටොබැකෝ ඇල්කොහොල් පිළිබඳවත් ඊටත් වඩා වැඩි සංඛ්‍යාවක් හැම අවුරුද්දෙම යනවා. හැබැයි මේකේ තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි 40000ක් නවත්තනකොට තව 40000ක් එතෙන්ට එනවා. Every year. So the NATA does the greatest job preventing people coming to drug use also by fighting the tobacco menace. එතකොට මේ දුම්කොළ භාවිතය පිළිබඳව ප්‍රශ්නයට සටන් කිරීම තුළින් අපි ඩ්‍රග් එකට එන සංඛ්‍යාව නවත්තනවා. අන්න එතන තමයි මේකේ තියෙන වැදගත්ම දේ. එතකොට ඇඩික්ෂන් එක නිසා නෙමෙයි මේ. එතකොට අපිට දැන් අවසාන ප්‍රශ්නේ මම මෙතනින් නවත්තන මොකද කාලය ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන නිසා. ඇයි මේ ස්මෝක් කරන අය ඊට පස්සේ හෙරොයින් වලට එන්නේ නැත්නම් දේවල්ට එන්නේ? දැන් that was the topic given to me, tobacco control towards the reduction of drug prevalence. එතකොට drug prevalence එක අඩු වෙන්න නම් මේ tobacco control එක ඉතා වැදගත්. හැබැයි ඒක අනිත් පැත්ත ගමු අපි. ඇයි drug user මේ මොකද්ද tobacco user කෙනෙක් drug user එකට යන්නේ? එතන ඒක බලන්න තියෙන දේ තමයි මේක නිකොටින් ඇඩික්ෂන් drug addiction එක එහෙම නැත්නම් මොලය මේකට වෙන එකට වඩා මම මට හිතන හැටියට තියෙන දේ තමයි මොකක්ද මේ deviant behavior එකකට මේගොල්ලෝ ඉගෙන ගන්නවා. අම්මා කියලා තියෙනවා සිගරට් බොන්න එපා කියලා. මම කොල්ලෙක් මම දැන් ලොකුයි කියලා මට කියන්න ඕනේ. අම්මා එපා කියන එක කරන එක තමයි චණ්ඩිකම. ඒතර අමාරුවෙන් කෑ පළවෙනි සිගරට් එක බිව්වා. දැන් මම අද ඉඳන් අම්මගේ බබා නෙමෙයි. හැබැයි ඒක එස්ටැබ්ලිෂ් කරගන්න එක හරි වටිනවා. I am not my mama's baba. Mama's baby. From today onwards. පළවෙනි සිගරට් එක බීපු ගමන්. එතකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ? මේගොල්ලෝ එක්තරා පුරුද්දක් ඇති කර ගන්නවා deviant behaviors වලට. එහෙම නැත්නම් වෙනස් ආකාරයකින් දේවල් කියන්න. හැබැයි අන්නේ habit formation එක තමයි ඊට පස්සේ drug use එකටත් එන්නේ. නැතුව ඇඩික්ෂන් කියන එක නෙමෙයි අර කියන සමාජ අවසරයත් එක්ක මට මගේ එක ලොකුයි කියලා පෙන්වන්න පුළුවන්කමත් එක්ක මේක ප්‍රැක්ටිස් කරනවා. ඊට පස්සේ ඉස්සලා එක්කෙනෙක්ගේ දෙන්නෙක්ගේ වරප්‍රසාද කඩ කරනවා. ඊට පස්සේ පවුලේ වරප්‍රසාද කඩ කරනවා. ඊට පස්සේ මුළු ගමේම වරප්‍රසාද කඩ කරන්න පුළුවන්. හෙරොයින් යූසර්ට ගමේ තියෙන රත්තරන් කොල්ල කන්න පුළුවන් කිසි අමාරුවක් නැතුව. මොකද ඉස්සලා ගෙදර කොල්ල කාලා පුරුදු වෙලා. From day one we have to object this. අම්මලා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? මේගොල්ලෝ උගන්වනවා. බිම දිගා වෙලා වැඳලා අම්මේ මට මේක නතර කරගන්න බෑ හරි අමාරුයි රුපියල් කීයක් හරි දෙන්න අදට. අම්මගේ තියෙන ආදරයට දෙනවා. රුපියල් 500ක් දෙනවා තාත්තට කියන්න එපා. ටිකක් කල් යනකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ? 500 1000 ඉල්ලනවා. තර්ජනය කළා ඉල්ලනවා. පිහිය පෙන්නලා ඉල්ලනවා. අන්තිමට ගෙදර තියෙන දේ කොල්ල කරනවා හොරකම් කරනවා. එහෙනම් අපිට day 1 එකේ ඉඳන්ම මේකට වෙනස් කරන්න ඕනේ. උඹට අපේ ගෙදර කොල්ල කණ්ඩ දෙන්නේ නැහැ. මෙන්න මේ අවසරය නොදීම අපි ආරම්භ කරොත් තමයි අපිට මේකේ මේ population reduction එකක් මේ prevalence එක අඩු කරන්න පුළුවන් වන්නේ. ඒකට පළවෙනිම එක තමයි tobacco වලට අවසරය අනුග්‍රහය නොදීම කියන එක. ඊළඟට ඒක ඩීග්ලැමරයිස් කරන එක. අපි මෙතන කීප දෙනෙක්ම කිව්වා ඒ ගැන සාකච්ඡා කරනකොට මේක ග්ලැමර් නෙමෙයි. මොකද ටොබැකෝ එකට ඇටච් කරපු ග්ලැමර් එකම තමයි අපි ඩ්‍රග් එකටත් ඊට පස්සේ ඇටච් කරන්නේ. So these days, so what is prevention then? What is treatment? ඒක ගැන මම කතා කරලා නවත්තනවා. So recently we had a very deep discussion with my counselors in our drug control board and we came to a conclusion. What is drug prevention? So both the prevention and treatment, the definitions seem to be the same. So we came to the conclusion that the self-realization of the emptiness of tobacco, alcohol, and all other substance that leads to abstinence. එතකොට මද්ද්‍රව්‍ය කෙරේ සිගරට් එක දුම්වැටිය මද්දසාරය හෙරොයින් එක ගංජා එක පිළිබඳව හිස් බව රැවටිල්ල මේක කිසිම ප්‍රයෝජනයක් නැතිකම අපේක්ෂා කරනකට සම්පූර්ණ විරුද්ධ දේ වෙන එක පිළිබඳව self realization. So දැන් මම මෙහෙම අහනවා දැන් prevention කිව්වම අපිට පොඩි දෙයක් තියෙනවා මම ඔයගලගෙන් අහන්න ප්‍රශ්නයක් වැළකීමද වැළැක්වීමද හරියක හරියක මොකද්ද වැළකීමද වැළැක්වීමද මේ දෙක අතර වෙනස මොකද්ද වැළකීම හා වැළැක්වීම මේ දෙක අතර වෙනස මොකද්ද වැළැක්වීම එළියේ වැඩක් වැළකීම කියන එක තමන්ගේ වැඩක් අත වශයෙන්ම මේක ගේන්න ඕනේ තමන්ට තමයි ඔක කරන්න පුළුවන් so the self realization මගේ අවබෝධය ස්වයං අවබෝධය ඒකට සිංහල වචනයක් මට තාම හොයාගන්න නැහැ the self realization of the emptiness of the substances such as tobacco, alcohol, cannabis, heroin or methamphetamine that leads to abstinence. So that is prevention, that is treatment. So finally, let me once again thank NATA that you are doing a great job by preventing people from tobacco that tremendously help the National Dangerous Drugs Control Board also to lower the prevalence of drugs. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm sure all of you will agree, Mr. Shakir, that was very timely, practical, and I think it was also very educative, I was just telling. Really awesome, very good. I'm sure we can put our hands together and give him a round of applause. So we have one more presentation before lunch. So this gentleman is going to be between lunch and his presentation. I'd like to invite Dr. Alan Lodawai, Chairman of NATA, to give us a presentation regarding the progress of the initiation of the alternative livelihood projects here in Sri Lanka. All yours, Doctor.
Thank you, Faisal. Venerable Albanius Bodhitero. Also, Mr. Shakir Nanakara, Chairman of the National Dangerous Drugs Control Board. Thank you for your presentation. That's wonderful, really, and we are happy to support you at NATA. Also from the WHO, I acknowledge Dr. Farooq Qureshi. Thank you for being with us as well. All our authorized officers of the NATA Act. We have a workshop following lunch and tomorrow as well. So we're very happy that you are all here with us. And I thank all the provincial and regional directors also who have stayed on, and the NATA board, and all our invitees. I'm going to do a very brief presentation. This is not going to delay your lunch. And I'm going to explain the pilot project which was conducted by NATA with the support of WHO as an initiation of the alternative livelihood for tobacco cultivation, and this was done during the year 2020 and 2021. Now, Articles 17 and 18 of the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control largely pertains to tobacco farming and addressing the environmental problems that is created by tobacco farming. So the past decades have seen a steady shift of tobacco cultivation from high-income countries to low-income countries, which has allowed multinational tobacco corporation to access cheaper labor resources and to lower their production costs. So now there are 13 districts in Sri Lanka that grow tobacco. Right? Jaffna, Matale, Vaunia, Anuradhapura, Polonnaruwa, Monragala, Putlam, Kurunegala, Kandy, Nuwara, Badulla, Hambantota and Ampara. So this tobacco is grown in about 3,000 hectares for the Ala season and on 1,900 hectares for the Maha season before the project was launched in 2020. And there are about 3,400 tobacco farmers in total. This is according to the Agriculture Department. And this project that was conducted was done in the Monragala and Anuradhapura districts. Now the general objective was to determine the effectiveness of a pilot study on introducing alternative crops for tobacco cultivation in these two districts, Anuradhapura and Monragala. And our specific objective was to create an awareness among farmers on the harm of tobacco cultivation, and also to advocate government officers and stakeholders to promote alternative crops to tobacco, and also to obtain family support of farmers for shifting from tobacco farming. So our methodology was first a preliminary survey, right, for which we collected primary and secondary data. And then an intervention, and the intervention had 4 parts: an advocacy program for high-level officers, an advocacy program for government officers, a community empowerment program for the farmers themselves, and a family awareness program. And then we did a post-evaluation, and that post-evaluation was done using a interviewer-administered questionnaire at 6 months, that was done in 2021, and in 12 months, done in 2022. And 20% of the tobacco lands was reduced in the Monragala district, and 22% of tobacco lands was reduced in the Anuradhapura district, according to the responding participants. So as a total, 85% of reduction was seen in the tobacco cultivation area in both districts. And we also saw that there was a 68.4% of farmers in the Monragala district and 78% in the Anuradhapura district who did tobacco farming were then introduced to alternative crops. So now there were, depending on the district, there were different types of crops. In the Monragala district, they grew things like peanut, cowpea, sesame, vegetables, black gram, corn, sugarcane, chili, green gram, watermelon. And in the Anuradhapura district, they grew vegetables and paddy and soya and corn and onions and peanut and cowpea, chili, banana, sesame. So this was successful in those two districts. But there are factors that make it difficult for us, and that is the unwillingness sometimes to switch to alternative crops. And there are a few factors. First, the tobacco industry supports them with pesticides and fertilizers. They give pesticides and fertilizers to the farmers. And compared to other crops, a very low amount of water is needed for tobacco cultivation compared with the other alternative crops. And the tobacco industry technically also supports these farmers to grow tobacco, and the government support for other crops is less in comparison. And also we know the tobacco industry financially supports tobacco growers through loans, not grants, loans. They are in a trap. They are in a trap once they take the loans. So it is a challenge to maintain the sustainability of this practice and the influence of the tobacco industry. However, even after 2 years, you can see, and we will show you a short video immediately after I finish this. You will see the success story of using alternative crops in the Buttala village of Ganara. This is in the Monragal district. Right? So, with that video, I conclude my brief presentation, and we will then go into a lunch break. So please roll the video. Thank you.
මගේ නම එස්.ඒ. කරුණාරත්න විශේෂ කණුව ගෝණාංගාර බුත්තල මේ මම ගොවි සංවිධානයේ සභාපති මේ ගෝණාංගාර ප්‍රදේශයේ තමයි මම හිතන්නේ මොණ්ඩාගල් දිස්ත්‍රික්කයෙන් වැඩිම දුම්කල වගාවරණ ප්‍රදේශයක් ඒක නිසා මේ ගිය අවුරුද්දේ අපිට දුම්කල මේ මධ්‍යසාර වැඩසටහන වලින් ඊටසේම අපිට හොඳ අවියෝ සෑම දිනෙකම මේ දුම්කල වගාව නතර කරන්න තමයි තීරණය කරගත්තේ නමුත් මේ අවුරුද්දේ මධ්‍යසාර වැඩසටහන කරන අතරේ මේ තමන් දාලා ආරේ මේ තිබුණ නිසා ගොවියෝ මේ අවුරුද්දේ සාමාන්‍ය දුම්කල වගාවට ගියා. නමුත් ඒක අසාර්ථකයි. අපිටම තේරෙනවා දුම්කල වගාව හොඳ නැහැ කියන එක. ඉතින් අපි මේක දිගටම අපි නවත්තන්න තමයි අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ දුම්කල වගාව. අපි මේ අවුරුද්දේ දුම්කල වගාව සාමාන්‍ය විදිහට දුම්කල වගාවෙන් අපිට එන්නේ සුළු ලාභයක් එන්නේ. බලනකොට ඒක අපි මෙතන උක්වගාවට ගියා. උක්වගාවෙන් මේ අපිට දැන් ලාභයක් තියෙනවා. ඒක නිසා ටැක්ටර් එක වැටෙව්වොත් ටොන් 7ක් 8ක් 10ක් යනවා. ටොන් එකකට අපිට ගෙවනවා මේ රුපියල් 10000ක්. ඉතින් අපිට කැපුම් ගුලි අර මේ ගිහිල්ලා අපිට ඊට දුම්කල වගාවට වැඩි ලාභයක් තියෙනවා අපිට. ඒක නිසා අපි දුම්කල වගාව සදාටම නවත්තන්න අපි යනවා මේ වෙන වගාවකට අපි යනවා.
මගේ නම නිශාන්ති. මේ විසිකේ කණුව ගෝණාංගාර බුත්තල ප්‍රදේශයේ අක්කර දෙක ප්‍රමාණයක් විතර දුම්කල වගාව කරා. ඊට පස්සේ මගේ ඇස් දෙක අසනීප වුණා. මේ ඇස් වලට බෙහෙත් කරන්න පටන් ගත්තට පස්සේ දුම්කල වගාවෙන් අයින් වුණා. ඔව් දුම්කල වගාවේ තියෙන රසායනික ද්‍රව්‍ය නිසා වැඩිපුරම ඇස් වල තුවාල හට ගන්නවා කියලා වෛද්‍යවරුන් කිව්වා.
වී.පී. නන්දසිරි 21 කණුව ගෝණාංගාර බුත්තල මම පංචි ඉන්නේ. මම අවුරුදු 6-7ක්ම දුම්කල වගා කරා. අක්කර 2කමාරක් විතර තමයි වගා කරේ. ඒ වගා කරාට වැඩක් නැහැ. අපිට ලෙඩ දුක් වෙලඳන් පොඩි කට්ටියටත් ලෙඩ දුක සෑහෙන්න මේවා වුණා. ඒ හින්දා අපි දුම්කල වගාව නවත්තවුවා. දුම්කල වගා කරා වැඩක් නැහැ අපිට දුම්කල වගා කිරීමෙන් අපිට සුළු ලාභයක් තියෙන්නේ. ඒ ලාභය වුණත් අපිට සෑහෙන මාසයක් එනවා. ළමයිට සෑහෙන ලෙඩ දුක් තමයි කරදර ඇති වුණේ. දුම්කල වගාවෙන් අපිට පොඩි කට්ටියට පාසල් වල යවා ගන්න කමක් නැති වුණා. මේ ඒමනේ දුම්කල වගාවට ඒ කට්ටිය යටවිලා තමයි ඒ කට්ටියත් දුම්කල වගාවට අපිට සහයෝගය දීලා හිටියේ. නවත්තර දැන් පැල්ලත්තේ වැඩට යනවා. පැල්ලත්තේ ඒකෙන් අපිට උගස් වගා කරන්න දුන්න උගස් වගා කරලා දැන් අපි ජීවත් වෙන්නේ. මම කියන්නේ අනිත් අයට කියන්නේ දුම්කල වගාවෙන් අයින් කරලා මේ වෙන වගාවක් කරගන්න පොඩි කට්ටියටත් කිසිම හානියක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඉන්පසුව මේ ලෙඩ දුක් වෙන කරදරින් දුර වෙලා ජීවත් වෙන්න පුළුවන් කියලා මම කියන්නේ.
ආරෙන් ශාන්ති දුලංජනි 21 කණුව ගෝණාංගාර රජමාවත බුත්තල. අක්කර 2ක දුම්කල වගාව සිදු කරා. දැන් නවත්තලා තියෙන්නේ. දැන් කරන්නේ. දැන් උග්ගස් අක්කර 2ක දාලා තියෙනවා. ඒව තමයි ඉරුගු එහෙම ඒවා ටිකක් කරනවා. දුම්කල අක්කර 2ක කරාම ගොඩක් මහන්සි වෙන්න ඕනේ. උග්ගස් මේ දැන් මම එච්චර මහන්සියක් නැහැ. ඉතින් දැන් දුම්කල වලට වඩා මේ ආදායම උග්ගස් වලින් ගන්න පුළුවන් ඉතින් අපිට. ඔව් දැන් මේ බබාලා ඉන්න නිසා දුම්කල දැන් කරන්නේ ඇත්තටම මේ ඒ වගේ විස මේ වෙලා ළමයි ලෙඩ රෝග වෙන නිසා ඒ නිසා අපි ඉතින් අර අපේ ශරීර වලටත් හොඳ නිසා මේ උග්ගස් දාලා උග්ගස් විසක් නැහනේ මේ දුම්කල විස නිසා ඒ බෙහෙත් පොහොර ගහනවා වැඩි ඒ නිසා මේ අපි දැන් උග්ගස් දාලා අපි මේ දැන් දුම්කල වගාවෙන් අයින් වෙලා උග්ගස් වගාව තමයි කරන්නේ. මේ බඩ ඉරුඟු ඒ වගේ වෙන ටික ටික ගොවිතැන් කරනවා. උග්ගස් වලට මේ දුම්කල වලට වගේම උග්ගස් දැම්මාමත් අපිට මේ පොහොර ටික එහෙම වල් බෙහෙත් ටික එහෙම ඒවා දෙනවා. අපි උග්ගස් කන්නේට කපාලා දුන්නාම ණය කපා ගන්න අපිට හාලා දෙනවා, කාණු දාලා දෙනවා. ඒ නිසා අපිට උග්ගස් වගාව හොඳයි. ඉතින් මේ ආදායමක් ගන්නත් පුළුවන්. මේ අර දුම්කල වගාවට වගේ මේ මහන්සි වෙන්න එච්චර ඕනේ නෑ. ඉතින් මම කියන්නේ මේ දුම්කල වගාවෙන් අයින් වෙලා උග්ගස් කරනවා නම් හොඳයි. ඉතින් ලාභයක් ගන්නත් පුළුවන්. වැඩි අපිට මහන්සි වෙන්න දෙයක්වත් නෑ කියලා තමයි කියන්න තියෙන්නේ.
මම ආරේ මින්ද්‍රාන් රත්නායක විසිකේ කනෝ ගෝනගංගාරේ තමයි පදිංචිය. මේ මම අවුරුදු 20ක් විතරම දුම්කලත් එක්ක සම්බන්ධ වෙලා ගොවිතැන් කරපු කෙනෙක්. ඉතින් මහලේකම් කාර්යාලයෙන් හැමතැනින්ම ඇවිල්ලා අපිට රැස්වීමක් තිබ්බා. ඒ රැස්වීමත් එක්කම දීපු එකත් එක්කම අපි කල්පනා කළා දුම්කල වැඩසටහන ටිකෙන් ටික අඩු කරන්න පටන් ගත්තා අවුරුද්දෙන් අවුරුද්ද. ඉතින් මගේ අම්මා ඉන්නේ මංගාව. මගේ අම්මට හතිය හැදෙන්න ගත්තා දුම්කල හදන්න ගත්තට පස්සේ. ඒ නිසා ඒ හතියත් එක්ක බබාලා 3 දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා. ඒ බබාලා 3 දෙනා සම්බන්ධ වෙලා දුම්කල වැඩ කරේ මෙච්චර කාලයක්. මේ තියෙන්නේ දුම්කල වේලපු අවුරාක්කයක් තමයි. ඒ වගේම ඉතින් ඒ නිසා ළමයි ලෙඩ වෙන නිසා ඉස්කෝලේ ගමන් යවා ගන්න අපහසුයි දුම්කල වැඩත් එක්ක. දවල්ට හරියට කෑවා කියන්න වේලක් නැහැ දුම්කල වැඩසටහන් කරන නිසා. ඒ නිසා දුම්කල වැඩසටහන නතර කරන්නම තීරණය කරා මම. මම දැන් දුම්කල වැඩසටහන නතර කරාට පස්සේ මම පටන් ගත්තා කිරිගව පාලනය. කිරිගව පාලනයෙන් තමයි දැන් අපේ පවුල ජීවත් වෙන්නේ. කිරිගව පාලනයෙන් ගොඩක් දුරට ගෙදර සමගිය සතුටත් හැමදේම තියෙනවා. දරුවන්ට එළ කිරි ටිකක් බීම සඳහාත් එතනින් ඒ අවස්ථාව ලැබෙනවා. මේ ළමයින්ටත් කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැතුව පාසල් යවා ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඇත්තටම දුම්කල වගා කරනකොට අත් දෙකෙන් ඇල්ලුවම තිත්තයි කණ්ඩ බෑ බත් වේලක් හරියට. ඒ නිසා දැන් කිරිගව පාලනයේදී කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැතුව කිරිගව පාලනය කරගෙන දැන් ඉස්තර ජීවත් වෙලා ඉන්නවා සතුටින්. දැන් වෙන කෙනෙක් එහෙම ඉන්නවා නම් මේ දුම්කල වගාව නතර කරලා වෙන කිරිගව පාලනය හරි උගස් වැඩසටහනක් හරි කරගෙන ඉදිරියට යන්න ඒ වගේ ඕන උදව්වක් ඕන දැන් මේ උපදේශක් දෙන්න පුළුවන් කමක ඉන්නවා. ඕන උදව්වක් ඉල්ලුවත් ඒ උදව්ව හැටියට උනත් කරගන්න උදව්වක් දීමට පුළුවන් කමක් තියෙනවා.
දුම්කල හා මධ්‍යසාර අධිකාරී වැඩසටහනේ මේ අපි ඉතින් මේ දුම්කල වලින් අයින් වෙලා වෙන මේ ගොවිතැන් කරනවා. ඒ නිසා හැම රාජ්‍ය ආයතනයකින්ම අපිට සහයෝගය අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. දැන් අපි නම් මේ ඇත්තටම දුම්කල වගාවෙන් අයින් වෙලා තියෙන අවුරුදු 7ක් විතර දුම්කල වගා කරා. ඒ වගා කරාට වැඩක් නැහැ. ඇත්තටම ලාභෙකුත් නැහැ. ලෙඩ රෝගත් වැඩි. ඒ නිසා මේ මහන්සි වෙන්නත් ගොඩක් ඕන. ඒ නිසා අපි කියන්නේ දැන් අපි උග්ගස් අක්කර 2ක දාලා තියෙනවා. ඒ අපිට අර අක්කර 2ක දුම්කල දැම්මත් දානවා නම් ඒ ආදායම ගන්න උග්ගස් අක්කර 5ක දැම්මත් අර ඒ තරම් මහන්සි වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. අර අක්කර 2කට මහන්සි වෙන තරම්. ඒ නිසා අපි කියන්නේ හැමෝටම දුම්කල වගාවෙන් අයින් වෙලා වෙන මාර්ග මොනවා හරි ගොවිතැන් උග්ගස් හරි බඩ ඉරුඟු හරි මේවා කරගෙන මේ ජීවත් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මහන්සි වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. ඇත්තටම ගොඩක් දුම්කල අක්කර 2ක් දානවා නම් අර අක්කර 5 උග්ගස් අක්කර 5ක දාගත්තත් මේ මහන්සියක් නෑ එච්චර.
ජීවිතය දුම්කුලයකින් විනාශ විය යා හැකි. දුම්කුල වගාව මගින් ජලමූලාශ්‍ර සිඳියාම වන විනාශය, පාංශුකාදනය සහ පරිසර දූෂණය ඇතිවෙයි. බොහෝ සෞඛ්‍ය ගැටලුවලටද එය මුල් වේ. එබැවින් වහාම ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙමින් වඩා යහපත් අනාගතයක් වෙනුවෙන් තිරසාර වගා විකල්ප වැඩසටහනට එක්වන්න. දුම්කුල වෙනුවට විකල්ප භෝග තෝරා ගනිමින් වඩා සෞඛ්‍ය සම්පන්න හෙටක් ගොඩනගමු. අපට අවශ්‍ය ආහාර මිස දුම්කුල නොවේ.
வாழ்க்கை புகையிலை ஒன்றினால் அழிக்கப்படலாம். புகையிலை பயிரிடுவதால் அதன் நீர்நிலைகள் வற்றல், காடழிப்பு, மண்ணரிப்பு, சூழல் மாசடைதலுக்கு வழிவகுக்கும். பல உடல்நல கோளாறுகளுக்கும் காரணமாகின்றது. எனவே உடனடியாக செயல்படுவோம். ஒளிமயமான எதிர்காலத்துக்கு நிலையான மாற்றீட்டு பயிர்களில் கவனம் எடுப்போம். நிலையான மாற்றீட்டு பயிர்கள் நிகழ்ச்சியோடு ஒன்றிணைவோம். புகையிலைக்கு பதிலாக மாற்றீட்டு பயிர்களை தேர்ந்தெடுத்து வளமான எதிர்காலத்தை உருவாக்குவோம். எங்களுக்கு தேவை உணவு, புகையிலை அல்ல.
Life could be destroyed by a dreadful leaf called tobacco. Tobacco farming leads to depletion of water sources, deforestation, soil erosion, and environmental pollution. It's behind many health hazards. Immediate action needs to be taken to start exploring alternatives, sustainable crops for a better future. Join hands with the movement for sustainable farming. Choose alternatives to tobacco and create a healthier future. We need food, not tobacco.
And on that wonderful note, with an important message, finally, to propose the vote of thanks, I would like to invite Board Secretary and Legal Officer of NATA, Mr. Viraj Bandaranaike.
Well, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to address you with the vote of thanks in this glamorous occasion. First of all, I'm grateful on behalf of NATA to Venerable Aludeniye Subodhithera, Chief Incumbent, Seruila Rajamahavihara, and also one of the board members. And first and foremost, I would like to thank our chief guest, who is not now present, Dr. Keheliya Rambukwella, within his busy schedule to be present here. And my grateful thanks goes to Dr. Alanka Singh, WHO country representative, along with Dr. Farooq and Dr. Swindran, who helped us a lot to have this glamorous occasion. And all the additional secretaries, Director General of Health Services, Director General of Department of Census and Statistics, and all the NATA board directors who are present, all Deputy Director Generals, all provincial directors of health services who are present here, and all regional directors of health services as well. And I have to say I owe special thanks to WHO and the staff. Without them, we won't succeed in this event. And also I thank all the distinguished invitees, especially all the authorized officers. Without all these authorized officers, we won't be able to have NATA apparently, because they are the ones who support in the ground level. And thanks all of you for accepting our invitation. And finally, I thank the members of the media for evicting interest of covering the event and all good work they have done and who work behind the scenes, and all my NATA staff. But foremost, before ending this, I have to say this. Last and not the least, I thank you, my friends, the NATA staff, your cooperation in making this function a success. Finally, I leave you this inspiring quote by Martin Luther King. An individual has not started living until he rises above the confines of his individualistic concern to the broader concern of all humanity. Mike Singhalen කියන්නම් අපි හැමෝම පෞද්ගලික අභිමතාර්ථ පස්සේ යන්නේ. නමුත් ඒ පෞද්ගලික අභිමතාර්ථ පස්සේ යන අපි එකතු වෙලා එක මූලික සියලු දෙනාටම යහපත් වෙන වැඩක් කළොත් ඒක තමයි බොහොම වටින්නේ. ඉතින් අපි මේ හැමෝම එකතු වෙලා ඉන්නේ මේ දුම්කොළ හා මධ්‍යසාර, විශේෂයෙන් දුම්කොළ ගැන අද කතා කරන්නේ. නමුත් අපි දන්නවා දුම්කොළ හා මධ්‍යසාර වලින් තියෙන බලපෑම. මම හිතන්නේ මේ බලයලත් නිලධාරීන් වෙනුවෙන් මම කතා කරන්නම්. මේ දුම්කොළ හා මධ්‍යසාර පාලනයේදී වැදගත්ම කාර්යභාරයක් ඉෂ්ට කරන්නේ මේ අපේ සෞඛ්‍ය පරීක්ෂකවරු, මහජන සෞඛ්‍ය පරීක්ෂකවරු, ඊළඟට අපේ සුරාබදු දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ නිලධාරීන්, ඊළඟට අපේ පොලිසිය මහත්වරු සහ ආහාර හා ඖෂධ පරීක්ෂකවරු. ඒගොල්ලෝ තමයි බිම් මට්ටමේ ඉන්නේ. ඒ බිම් මට්ටමේ ඉද්දී මේ හැම දිනාටම අත්දැකීම් තියෙනවා ඒ දුම්කොළ හා මධ්‍යසාර සමාගම් එක්ක හැප්පෙන එක කොච්චර අමාරුද කියලා. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ හැප්පිලා නඩු කියලා, නඩු දිනලා මේ විශාලම කියන්නේ අපි මේ මොන මේ වේදිකාවල කතා කළත් අමාරුම කාර්යභාරය කරන්නේ ඔබතුමන්ලා. ඉතින් ඔබතුමන්ලා මේකට පැමිණීමට බොහොමත්ම ස්තුතියි. අපි ඉස්සරහටත් මේ වගේ වැඩ කරන් යමු. Thank you very much all of you. තෙරුවන් සරණයි.
So Mr. Bandaranaike has done all the thanking. Let me say a big thank you to Dr. Alan Lodewijk and to the event manager, Design Waves Private Limited, my good friend Dhammika. Thank you for inviting me to be the compeer. This is just another milestone in the many events that I've compeered in my 40-year career. Thank you. You've been a wonderful audience. A reminder before you all move for lunch that the PHIs who have been nominated by their regional directors have to participate in the afternoon session. Am I right? Afternoon session at 2:30, and you will also receive accommodation in the hotel. So I'm sure you'll take that very important message, no tobacco. Thank you. Enjoy your lunch.